Why would an atheist like myself want to participate in a booktube event about reading religious books? Hello, welcome to my channel. Another bibliophile reads. My name is Greg, and I am participating in Maybe Midrash. This is an event where people are encouraged to read books about religion, fiction or non-fiction. Now, Midrash is something I should describe, and its creator, Jason, at Old Blues Chapter and Verse, describes it this way. What is Maybe Midrash, you ask? We'd be better served to first define Midrash, as best as one can, anyway, as it's a notoriously slippery word to define. Midrash is a Jewish literary discipline in which readers interpret stories and events in Scripture less with an eye to arriving at concrete meanings, e.g., the text says X, Y, and Z, so therefore, then with an understanding that the texts vibrate with possible meanings, that interpretations are in conversation with each other, that gaps and absences in stories are not holes so much as opportunities for readers to make meaning by inference, stitching, or explosion. Midrash, as I see it, is the act of readers and writers complicating well-known religious narratives and ideas with creative and often irreverent embroidery. Maybe Midrash, then, is a booktube event during which participants spend the month of May reading a work of literary fiction that engages seriously and provocatively with religion and or a work of nonfiction that does the same. Now, as I said in my opening, I consider myself an atheist. I do not believe in any supernatural beings or events. So why would I want to read books that engage with religion? Well, many people in this world are religious. There are the Hindus, the Buddhists, the Jews, and Christians, and the Muslims, not to mention the Mormons and other religions. And to be someone in this world, I think it is important to be cognizant about other people's religion, even if I do not share in those beliefs myself. Which is why I'm always curious to engage in Maybe Midrash, to see if there's anything that I can learn from other people's beliefs. Now, the books I have selected are, in some cases, a little irreligious in and of themselves, but they do try to take religion on its surface and explore what you can learn from it. Now, I will be reading a number of books. Some of these books have already been scheduled for other reading events, and I'm just going to include them in Maybe Midrash. And the first is Another Roadside Attraction by Tom Robbins. This asks a question. What if the second coming didn't quite come off as advertised? What if the corpse on display in that funky roadside zoo is really who they say it is? What does that portend for the future of Western civilization? And I understand this. This is a comic novel about a roadside attraction that has the corpse of Jesus Christ. On its very surface, it's very irreligious and maybe a little bit irrelevant. But I'm curious to see what nuggets I can pull out of this book. Another novel I want to read is Barabus by Barabus, translated from the Swedish. He did win the Nobel Prize in Literature. And this is the story of Barabus. Barabus is the acquitted man whose life was exchanged for that of Jesus of Nazareth, crucified on the hill of Golgotha. Barabus is a man condemned to have no God. Christos Jesus is carved on the disc suspended on his neck, but he cannot affirm his faith. He cannot pray. He can only say, I want to believe. So this is an exploration of Christianity. I will be listening to an audiobook of Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin. How religious this book is, I'm not certain. Is it serious about religion, or does it just take religion as a backdrop, as a plot device to move the story along? It is, of course, about a young woman getting into a rather fancy apartment in New York City, and the people in this apartment have ideas about what they want to do with Rosemary. It is a horror novel, supposedly about devil worship. I did read it many, many years ago, but I've mostly forgotten the story. I kind of remember how it ends, though. If I have time, I want to read Samsara, A Rite for a Dead Man, by U.R. and Anna Samarthi. I'm probably not pronouncing his name correctly. This is translated from a language called Kannada with a K. It is about Hinduism. I have read this book before, and I will frankly admit that I didn't understand a whole lot of what was going on in it. So I want to take another shot at this book to see what I can glean. On the back, this is described as a tale of existential suspense, a life and death encounter between the sacred and the profane, the pure and the impure, the aesthetic and the erotic. Maybe the second time reading this will be the charm. The next book I want to read is not really fiction, nor is it nonfiction. It is a collection of poetry. Water by Rumi. Rumi was the Persian Sufi mystic, and in his poems he explores God and love and existence in a religion, Sufism, that I really know almost nothing about, other than what Rumi says in his poems. For nonfiction, I am listening to an audiobook, God, an Anatomy, by Francisca Stavropoulou. Again, I am almost certainly mispronouncing her last name, and this is an assumption that people make, that God is an incorporeal being. He has no physical existence. But if you look at the ancient sacred texts, God is assumed to have a physical body. And this book goes through all those references and what they could possibly mean. And there are important things about the physical body that God could have. His feet, his torso, his hands, his head, his genitals. It is, on the parts I've already read, a little bit dry and scholarly, but it is a fascinating look into how people once viewed God as having a physical body. Okay, those are my plans for Maybe Midrash. I hope more people try this. You do not have to be religious, as I am not, but explore these religious books in either in fiction or nonfiction. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.